we're trying to tailor exercise to goals. We're trying to tailor exercise to genetic capability. We're trying to find out exactly what your right shoulder needs. Because you know what your right shoulder doesn't need? I can never tell someone your right shoulder needs bench pressing. That is not something that I can say. I don't know your right shoulder. I've never met your right shoulder. And a bench press is just a cognitive idea as to how to contort your body in a certain way under load. It's not a real thing. Your brain doesn't have a bench press waiting to be, it's not like a primitive movement. It's just a way to load your body, right? But with your shoulder might need the opposite of that. So I need to find out what your shoulder needs, and then I need to go with what your shoulder needs, and that's how we train. And that's what I think the second book really brought about is we need to check, we need to see, is this what you need or is it not? You can believe that that's what most people need, and I can't disagree with the science in that regard, but it's not what everyone needs, and that's the point.
It may be what you need for a couple of months, and then we may need to change that, which really freaks people out. It's like, wait, what? This isn't going to be the thing that I do the rest of my life. And it's like, oh, maybe or maybe not. There may be some iterations off of that. Yeah.
So what do you do? Like, let's say that someone's listening to that, and we do want to give some kind of advice as to, there's some people who are going to take this as saying, I just want advice as to how to live comfortably and live well. And then there's going to be other people at the high-end performance end of this who are going to be, no, I want everything. I want to know what, so let's say that I give you one of our high performance athletes. What is the workup with that guy? How does this work? What is the Robb Wolf kind of thought process, as opposed to I'm going to read, what you said in a book and not be able to ask you questions and just, decide what you think based on what you wrote at that time?
Well, I'm glad it sounds either this is confirmation bias and we're both idiots, or we're actually onto something. By the way,
I might be an idiot.
We're in good company at least, okay, but yeah. I would sit down and really try to figure out, what are you doing right now? And get as comprehend what's your sleep, what time do you go to bed, what time do you get up, what's that sleep quality like? I'm not a huge fan of wearables, but I might, if the person has an Aura ring or something, might get a little bit of a sense of HRV, just to, again, just kind of dumping information into the subconscious in some ways. Get as much of that background, and then ask them, what do you want to do? Like, what's the specific goal here? So that we've got some sort of a delta. We've got where we're starting, and then in theory, where we want to go. And then on the nutrition side, I guess the kind of three things that I consider are kind of the temporal elements of nutrition, the qualitative elements of nutrition, and then the quantitative elements. And the temporal is just timing. We're finding that with circadian biology, that maybe eating more of the calories early in the day are more beneficial. Maybe partitioning more of the calories around the workout, even pre and post, seems to be some real benefit to that. On the qualitative side, we kind of think about nutrient density, and ideally we get as much nutrition per unit of calories that we consume. That can run into a brick wall, though. If you have somebody doing the Tour de France, or they're doing multiple Ironmans, a really low processed nutrient dense diet can destroy people's gut because it's got so much fiber in it. So you might actually shift more towards like rice, or maybe you do some maltodextrin drinks or something like that, because their work output is so high that it's literally maxed out their capacity to digest the food they're eating. So you actually need to refine it a little bit more. I wouldn't recommend that for a type B personality computer programmer that's 50 pounds overweight. Like, we want to go exactly the opposite, but we start thinking about some food quality. Within food quality, I am kind of geeked out on like the immunogenic food story. Like, if you have any GI problems, if you have some joint issues, is dairy a problem? Is gluten a problem? Is corn a problem? Are eggs a problem? Like, there are some really common allergens that just seem to be like some low-hanging fruit. Pull them out for a couple of weeks, reintroduce, see how you do. And so and that again, it feels pretty safe. And for the individual, it's kind of like, I took eggs out, didn't change anything. Okay, keep eating eggs, no big deal. So thinking about immunogenic foods, and then also on the qualitative piece, finding appropriate glycemic load. Some people do great with higher carb diets. I'm not one of those people. Like I just do really well on kind of a peri ketogenic diet in the summer.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, in the summer, I notice I can handle some more fruit. If I go to Mexico or near the equator, I seem to handle more carbs. As it gets more into like, you know, January, February, I really shift more into that more ketogenic state. And then finally, kind of arguably the easiest thing is just kind of figuring out the total amount the person needs. And there are very well established guidelines around that. You know, an easy thing is a gram of protein per pound of body weight or a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. If you do well on carbs, then we do the bulk of the carbs for you. And again, then we iterate back to, and we try to front load more of that early in the day and or around, you know, workout nutrition. And we just keep a little bit of an eye on the quality. Like if people start getting really gassy and bloated or having some, you know, kind of joint creakiness, then we think about that immunogenic process. And then we really test it. Like if we delineate some goals. And also I like writing down if our assumptions, like if we're changing something, particularly if it's a real quantum shift. So like some people will mention kind of like digestive issues. Let's say we start supplementing with some digestive support, like betaine hydrochloride or some digestive enzymes. If we have low stomach acid and you've been having problems with digestion and we support that, then this should happen. And then we should be able to critically assess that, you know, and sometimes it's a little more subjective. It's like, oh yeah, my digestion seems better, like my poops are better, you know, they're better formed or whatever. But I guess that's kind of like the big picture on it. And then just lots of check-ins, you know, how are you doing? What are, you know, is sleep continuing to be good? If that starts going off the rails, then we need to iterate off of that.